Hi everybody, I am back with another video, and today I wanted to make a proper video that everybody could find easily when they are looking for comparisons for all of the inks that are marketed to be Copic safe. These are all of the inks that I own that are supposed to be Copic safe, and although I have made a live video on my Facebook page, it is kind of hard to find those videos there. So here I am making one proper video for YouTube. I have made myself a little chart right here with every single one of the inks that I own that are supposed to be Copic safe. Once again, this is what I am doing today, testing my Copic safe or alcohol marker safe inks. I have put them down in alphabetical order. So they're just in alphabetical order, and I have it set up so that we can stamp it one time and see how intense it is. Stamp it 2 times and see if it looks better. So we can see the intensity of the ink and the crispness. And then the Copic Test right here. And I actually changed my mind a little bit here after I had printed this. And I feel like I need to make it into 2 different categories right there. So I am looking for a pen, and all I'm gonna do is just divide this into 2. My Copic Test line right there. I'm hoping this marker works, or this pen works. It doesn't really matter if it's accurate. All I need is a line. Okay, it's kind of thin, but you guys get the gist. So on this side right here, I am going to let it sit. So what can I put down there? After drying. And then the one on the right is going to be immediately. Which means I will stamp it and I will color on top of it with my Copic marker. So this is the stamp that I have right here. I am not going to say who it's by. Oops. It is a photopolymer, tiny, tiny little stamp. We don't really need something too intricate. All I need is to be able to see the ink. All right, I have chosen Y000 because it's a really, really light color. All right, I am going to be doing the stamped one time, just using a block right here. And I have my little towel right here that it's very dirty, and I am going to be saturating it with my stamp cleaning solution, which I made a video for just recently. And then I have another towel right next to it, and this one is clean. All right, so kind of like an assembly line. And just to be completely transparent here, my Brutus Monroe ink I have had for a long time, like 2 years. So there's a chance that it's a little bit dry. So I am going to be re-inking it, and I will do this one last to give that ink time to set. We want to be very fair here. This video is not sponsored or anything by anyone, and I am not biased to any of these companies. I am just trying to show you guys what works, you know, and how well it works. All right, so I'm gonna set that one to the side. Let's get started. Okay, so in order to make this fair, I am going to tap it onto the ink pad 5 times for each of the impressions I am going to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to keep it on the paper for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. All right. And we're not going to look at it until after, okay? Because it's a lot of inks. So I'm cleaning it. Next one is ink on 3. Okie doke. We are done with the first test. The second test is going to be a little bit harder than this because I have to use a stamping platform. But this is what we have so far. I am just going to slowly show you what we have. I think for this round, looking at everything, how crisp it looks, how nice it's stamped, I am going to say that the winner is anywhere between ink on 3, Simon Says stamp, and probably my favorite things. Yeah. All right, so now let's go ahead and do the stamp 2 times. And I want to do this test because I'm gonna have to do it like, I don't know how I am going to fit the paper here. I gotta figure it out. Because I want to be able to see how it works when you stamp it once and it doesn't look as crisp, and then they tell you to stamp it twice. I'm only going to stamp it 2 times in this line, so if it doesn't look great by then it is what it is. I am going to start at the bottom right there, and this one is my Spectrum Noir. Let me zoom you out. Okay. So once again, I'm going to stamp it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, that's very nice. All right, Gina K. One, two, three, four, 5. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it moved. Poop. Okay, so to make things fair, just because I don't want to be unfair about it, I do have another one, and I'm gonna show it right here, okay? It is totally my fault that the paper moved, 100%. So I am going to do it right here, but I am not redoing it on the other one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I might just have to cut it out and then glue it on top of the other one because I am not redoing it. All right, that's what we have. Last one. And then we go back to using the circle block thingy. Okay, Brutus Monroe. You know what? I don't trust myself, so I'm gonna do this instead. That way I know it's not going to move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3. All right, I am going to take just a moment and cut out that square that I messed up and glue it on top of that because it is just bugging me. We don't need to use the platform anymore. So I'm gonna leave all of that here. I am not going to cut anything out. Let me get my glue. I want to keep this comparison as transparent as I possibly can. And I gotta be fair to all of the inks. Look at that, it's like nothing happened, yay! Total user error. All right, so what I am going to do for the next part of it, because we have this right here, I am going to be stamping it on the after drying, like all at once, and then I will do them immediately, and it will make sense here in a second, like as I do it. I have an idea. 5. Do not move on me. 1, 2, 3. All right, you guys, I am going to zoom you in right now, and I am going to start with the finesse just because I have it out already. I have my marker right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to stamp it, and then I am going to color it like after maybe 3-5 seconds have passed, just to see. I have my Copic right here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's zoom you in. 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I will be doing, all right, what are you? My favorite things. My favorite things is right there. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh. Simon Says stamp. Where are you at? Right here. Right there. That's the one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mind you, there are many other inks out there in the market for Copic coloring. These are just the ones that I own. If I had the other ones, I would test them, but I don't. Okay, about 5 seconds have passed. Let's find Ranger so I can go in order. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to clean my marker. Okay. I really want to show you guys that the marker is clean so that when I do the next color, it doesn't show any black to it. So you see that? It's clean. Picket Fence Studios, right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I can see that it's still fresh ink on it, so I am a little worried to go on top of it. I feel like I should have given it a better chance if I had let it dry a little bit more. But this one right here will be dry by the time we get around to it. Ink on 3. Two, 3. Okay. Gina K. Four, 5. lastly, Brutus Monroe. And then we're done with the stamping. One, two, three. Okay, check it out. That's what it looks like. This one right here is Brutus Monroe, focus. And that's just after letting the ink set on the paper or sit on the paper for like 5 seconds. That one is Gina K, ink on 3, Lawn Fawn, my favorite things, Picket Fence Studios, Ranger, Simon Says Stamp, Spectrum Noir. So out of all of these, I am going to say that the only one that wins is the Spectrum Noir. There is no, okay, focus, no bleeding anywhere. Okay, so I feel like we have let all of these sit for a minute, a little while. So I am gonna go ahead and color on top of them now. Let me clean my marker. And let's try to zoom you in just a little bit. Okay, this first one is Brutus Monroe, and I am going to do the exact same coloring that I did on the other ones. Brutus Monroe after it had dried for a few minutes. Gina K Designs. Do you see that? That's bleed through right there. This one is ink on 3. I am cleaning my marker as I transition from one ink to the next. Ink on 3. No bleeding at all. Lawn Fawn. Gotta redeem yourself, Lawn Fawn. And you did. I see the tiniest amount of bleeding, like around the heart right here. Just like a tiny amount. So it looks pretty good though. My favorite things. Pretty good. That's pretty good. Trying to see if I see any feathering, which I'm starting to see here, and I see a tiny bit of like blurring from the black right there. Picket Fence Studios. And sometimes I just have to like let it sit for a second after I have put the Copic ink on it and just see if it has any effect on the black ink. And you know what? This one looks really, really good. No changes. Okay, this one right here is Ranger. I am scared to use that one. Okay. I don't think this is supposed to be Copic proof at all. If I'm being honest with you, I'm gonna have to do some more research. So that Ranger, not that much different than the original one right here. I'm cleaning my marker. Okay, now this one right here is Simon Says stamp. I'm just waiting. Let's see if I see any kind of changes. I think it looks good. All right. And lastly is Spectrum Noir right here. And then I'm going to give you guys my final thoughts. Did it change at all? Nope. All right. And you know what? Just for kicks and giggles, let's go ahead and Copic color on top of the one that has the 2 layers of ink, just to see how it reacts to the marker. And this line right here has had a lot more time to sit. So we should see very accurate results. Okay, starting with Spectrum Noir. Simon Says stamp. Ranger. I'm scared. Oh my gosh. My poor marker. Gotta clean it. So the nib is stained, but the marker is fine. Okay, that one right there is Picket Fence Studios. My favorite things. Oh, that's not good. There's bleeding right there. And above the heart, a little bit right here by the ending point. This one is Lawn Fawn. See a tiny little bit of bleeding right here. Just a little bit. Probably won't even be able to be picked up on the camera. Ink on 3. Looks really, really good. Gina K. I do see a tiny amount of like feathering around here and there. Not too bad. It was pretty disappointing though in this test, both of them. And lastly, Brutus Monroe. It looks good. All right. Okay, so my final thoughts here. When I am looking for an ink that I need for my Copic coloring, and I do a lot of Copic coloring, that is how I started in the paper crafting community, I always look for, well, first of all, it has to be Copic safe, meaning that it's not going to pull one of these stunts on me, because that is just not cool. It's going to ruin my whole project. So it has to be 100% Copic or alcohol marker safe. All of these, I am not really sure about this one right here. I'm gonna have to research it. So this might have been me choosing a wrong ink to test. Let's see, acrylic and water idea for stamping over alcohol inks. I don't know. Yeah, it might not be alcohol proof. So this one I take, like, I wouldn't even count on this. Okay, the second thing is it has to stamp crisp. Because when we are coloring something, like whether it be like a cartoonish character or a floral image or something like that, I don't want to have to stamp it over and over and over in order to get the impression that I want. Because the more layers that you add to the paper, and this is good paper, by the way, this is my hammermill paper that I use to test, and this is the same paper that I use for coloring with my Copics. So the least amount of layers that I can use, that I can do when it comes to stamping my image onto the paper, the better. So if I could get away with just doing one layer of stamping, that would be ideal, but normally that doesn't happen. So out of all of these inks, I am going to say my first favorite is definitely 100% Ink on 3 right here. That is it. That's the winner in my mind. My second favorite is going to be based on, you know, like the crispness of the stamping and whether or not it bled. I'm not even going to count this first line because 5 seconds of the ink on the paper is just not enough, which I get it. So let's do these two. Ink on 3 wins. So see, no bleeding on either of those. Brutus Monroe did not bleed either, which is great. However, it just doesn't stamp truly black, which is my third thing. If I buy a black ink, I want it to stamp black. I don't want it to stamp a darker gray. I want it to be black. Just look at the difference between something like that, which is, and I refill the ink, if you guys remember, it's just not fully black. It looks very much gray compared to something like that, right? Or even that one right there is pretty black. So this one's a no for me. Gina K, it's stamped better than the Brutus Monroe, for sure. However, for the coloring in the first two, it failed. I see a little bit of bleeding on that one, but it's like very minimal. And I only did 2 coats of the coloring on all of these images. However, when I color, I can do about like 5 to 7 layers of Copics. So it worries me that after 2 layers, it bleeds, even though I can see it and you guys probably can't. Ink on 3, I love Ink on 3. It did fail on the immediate test because the ink did not have time to dry, but it just shined on the after drying, which had like maybe 5 minutes drying time, and this one, I don't even know, 20 minutes. So this is the winner for me. Lawn Fawn failed massively on the immediate test. However, it kind of redeemed itself for the after drying test, and then this one that we did last. I think it looks pretty good. If it was slightly darker, I would definitely have it on my top 3 but it looks good. I like it. Just don't color on top of it as soon as you stamp. My favorite things is a no-no for me because it did okay on this one right here, which is stamped one time. I let it dry for a few minutes and then I color on top of it. There is very minimum bleeding, just like with the Gina K. But with this one right here, stamped twice, so 2 layers of the black ink, and it sat for like 20 minutes, you can see a lot of bleeding. There is a lot of bleeding on that. So I would not risk any of my projects with that. All right, Picket Fence Studios is my second favorite. So Ink on 3 is the winner, followed closely by Picket Fence Studios. And check it out. It did pretty good on the immediate test right here. Even better than Ink on 3, if I must say. However, the reason why it's not my number one, it's because Ink on 3 stamps blacker, more true to the color that I want. So although this one is black, Ink on 3 is blacker. So that's the reason why this is 1 and this is 2. So either of those inks, you are good to go with. Ranger, don't bother. Just don't. If you're gonna watercolor, you're good. All right. Simon Says Stamp did pretty darn good as well. There is a minimum amount of bleeding on both of these. I don't know if you can see them. Like just the tiniest amount, and I can see it because I know what I'm looking at. Like there is a little bit of feathering right here, here going out. So it's not a big deal when you're coloring something so small, but if you had a full page, a full size card that you're doing, all of these tiny little spots that start to add up. And then lastly, we have Spectrum Noir, which actually did really, really, really good. And I am going to say, let's see. So Ink on 3 is my favorite. My second favorite is going to be Picket Fence Studios. And my third favorite is going to be Spectrum Noir. Just look how crisp that looks. It's black, it's crisp. And then the fourth place goes to Lawn Fawn. So that is my picks. I feel like the other inks have some things to tweak, and then they can be great inks. For instance, this one right here is pretty good. It just needs to stamp a little bit darker than that, more true to black. This one right here still bleeds through, and I'm worried that if I use it more and like with more layers of Copic, it's gonna bleed more. So it's not something that I would go for. MFT, you can definitely see the bleeding. So I would probably have to like heat set it with heat gun. And you know, all of those things are doable. It's just not something like I want to go the extra step. When I want to color right now. Picket Fence rocks. Ink on 3 rocks. Lawn Fawn rocks. Simon Says Stamp is pretty good too. Just a tiny bit of bleeding here and there. And Spectrum Noir is pretty awesome too. The price point for all of them. So let's see, which one is the most expensive one? The Brutus Monroe is the most expensive one at $7.99 for a 2x2 inch cube. And then these little ones right here, which are 1x1, $3.50. So, ouchies. The one that I am going to go back to over and over is, Ink on 3 in my Picket Fence Studios. And if I ever like don't have those, definitely my Finesse. All of the other inks that I have, I use them to do backgrounds. So it's not like they're going to waste, but it's good to know that they are not good for my Copic coloring. All right, you guys, I hope that this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. I just wanted to educate you all on these inks. If it were up to me, Ink on 3 is the one that I recommend to everyone and anyone. That is the winner, followed closely by Picket Fence Studios. All right, I hope this was helpful, and I will see you all next time. Bye.